So we're going to be looking at Fields of Fire, the first edition, and focusing on the Korean campaign at Naktong River. The first mission is known as the Battle for the Cloverleaf, and the game allows us to have 4 attempts at it, with different weather conditions on each of the attempts. The battlefield is not completely available for observation at this point, and we can only see so far from the staging area here. We can see into these areas. Our mission objective is these 3 areas in the centre. We've got objective 1 at the furthest away, objective 2 on the way into that, and the attack point on the way into that. Normally you're given 10 turns to achieve a mission, but for this first attempt of this you're only given 6 turns, of which only 4 are in daylight. So it's extremely unlikely that the mission will be successful on the first attempt, and you're really laying down the groundwork, as it were, for the future attempts, possibly attempt 2. The terrain that we're confronted with at the moment is a village on a hill, very close to our kick-off point, and then just across from that is a very high hill with brush on top. In the centre we've got low-lying ground, either rocky or rice paddy, which doesn't offer a lot of protection, but does allow a lot of line of sight to come through. And then on the far left we've got an embankment as our first card, which will give some height advantage over the cards directly in front of that. I've set it up so that the second and third platoon are going to try and make their way through the village and the hill and get some positions of observation, and perhaps we can get the artillery and the mortar to be using that to attack anything that we do observe. And on the left, first platoon is going to make its way through the cover, through the embankment and the brush, and up into the gully, and see what can be seen from there. The objective, or the mission goal, is to occupy and clear the enemy forces in the primary second objectives, and clear rows 1 to 3 of any enemy forces. So we're going to have to touch on all of the potential contact markers in the first 3 rows. I'm going to run this as if I'm going to run the campaign, and we'll see how far we get. But I'll also try and explain some of the rules and the tables we'll use as we go through. In terms of allocation of assets, I'm using the radios. So the platoon headquarters all get a radio on the company network. The XO and the first sergeant also do. And then the company HQ has a battalion connection. The artillery forward officer has its own radio back to the artillery, and the mortar forward officer observer has a radio back to the off-board mortar. The experience is that the first sergeant is veteran, the 3 platoon headquarters are green, and then everyone else is line. The enemy are in a hasty defensive arrangement, and currently they're regarded as veteran quality troops. So I think that's everything. One thing, we've got a casualty collection point that we can put on the board now, or wait to see how the mission turns out and nominate that with the command. And I think I'll wait to see how the how it develops with the enemy and what locations they're in. So we're on turn 1. I think I've written down a smoke allocation on the pyro signals. Effectively, red smoke is ceasefire, yellow smoke is seek cover, purple smoke is advance, green smoke is shift fire right. The red parachute is ceasefire, the red cluster is ceasefire, the green parachute is shift right, and the green cluster is shift left. So I don't often get to use the pyros, but those are the settings I've decided on, and we'll see how they work out as we go forward. So we have a tough mission. Let's see how it develops. We'll do one turn and see how that goes. So turn 1, there's no higher HQ event. It's not a defensive mission, so we go straight through to the friendly command phase. And I'm going to double up the activated marker, which is used for vehicles, and just use these to indicate which units have been activated by commands. So we activate the company headquarters by the battalion HQ, and then we move to the company HQ impulse. So it's been activated. So we draw a card, and what we're looking for is the number in the helmet for an activation. And the company headquarters is line, and the let's get out the various tables. Just go through. So we've got weapons. No, just checking which states. Potential contact. No. Spotting. No. Must be one of these. Visibility. Limitations. Of course. So I'll look at my tables. Can't find that one. So let me just say what the modifiers are. If HQ is pinned, loses 1. If it's green, it loses 1. If it's veteran, it gains 1. If it's undercover, it gains 1. If it's under fire, either small arms, automatic heavy, or other, that it loses command draws. And if the current activity is no contact, it gains a draw. So we are currently no contact, so the company HQ gets 4+1. So we now have 5 commands for the company headquarters, and they save those or expend them on units. So the company headquarters is the top of the pyramid, so he's going to spend 3 to activate each of the platoon headquarters. So we'll just put that on there, there. So they're all activated. Now it could spend the 2 remaining points to command the first sergeant and the XO, but given that we know nothing of the board, it's probably better that we save these. So we'll just put him in there. So the company headquarters has activated. We now go down to the platoon headquarters and the CO staff that have been activated by the HQ. So, in no particular order, we'll do the first platoon. And these platoons are green. So they get +1 for no contact and they get -1 for being green. So effectively it stays still and they're on, first platoon is on 2. So first platoon over here, we've got to start to investigate enemy territory. And we're going to use rally action for one of the commands, which is to detach a team. It's an automatic, so we don't need to do a draw. Any headquarters or staff can give the order, and the recipient can be any order that is a 3-step squad. So we will split the first squad and we'll get a assault team. So an assault team is formed. We'll just keep him off. So that's one command point. And the second command point is to move. So you can move to an adjacent card. Again, it costs 1 command point. It's an auto action, so no draw. A HQ unit or a staff can give it. And who can receive it is any good order unit that's not currently exposed. So this is a good order unit. This is the headquarter unit. So he's going to order him to move adjacent. So he goes up here. And he's moved to a new location. So he's now exposed. From this location, he's at a height of 1, so he's above. So that means he can see over this one, and to this one. These locations are not high, so the line of sight is not blocked. So we'll just flip that over, lock that down. Now that's an embankment, it's a height of 1, so it's at the same level as where this embankment is. But we've now got line of sight all the way across to there. And in the same way we've got line of sight through to this one, because there's no higher terrain in between. So we just flip that one over. And there's a village. So that was the last of those. That's down to 0. That's first platoon done. Now let's see what second platoon gets. Well, second platoon, green, but he gets a +1 for no contact and a -1 for being green, so he keeps at 6. Which is also the maximum that can be spent during a day turn. And it's also the maximum that can be saved by a line unit. But we have a green unit, so the maximum that this platoon could save is 3. So we definitely want to spend at least 3 to be efficient. But we might spend a bit more than that. So our first action will be very similar to first platoon. First two commands will be the same. We will reduce that, and then we will create an assault team, and the assault team will go into here. That's 2 commands, and he will be exposed for moving on to a new card. And that line of sight exists there, so we can find out what this terrain is. And it's another village. So that's quite interesting, a lot of cover in this area. That's 2 commands used. And given that we've got terrain to reconnoitre, I think we'll use another 2 to do the same with the second squad. And that unit will go to here and become exposed. So we've used the same commands, detach a team and move to an adjacent card. Note that these units that are out here now are no longer in command because the commanders, the leaders, can't shout that far, and these guys are not carrying any radios at all. So at the moment, second platoon has 2 orders left. It might be wise to save those to see what happens. As you can see, the number of orders you get is quite varied, going from a very low number up to 6. So we now have the last, which is the third platoon. So we draw a card for his command, and he gets 5, +1, -1 for being green and in no contact. So to repeat the story, we will spend 2 commands. To take us to 3 for moving that assault team into the village and get an exposed marker on that unit. Now as a green unit, it can save 3 points, and given that the enemy being veteran could be devastating, I again think it's wise at this point in time to save the points. And that is all of the activation segment. We now go to the initiative, which states for the COHQ impulse, if it's not activated above, well, it was, so we don't have to worry about that. We then go to the platoon quarter impulse, if not activated above, and they all were, so we can move on from that. So we go to the CO staff, and we've got 2. And it says if not activated above, well, it wasn't, give it 1 command. So both the first sergeant and the XO have been activated. At this point in time, I think that both of them will just save that point and wait to see what happens. So that's all of that. That moves us down to the general initiative impulse. Draw an action card for the number of initiative points, and we get 4 points, which is pretty good for general initiative. There's usually a counter for that, but I must have deleted the counter. Can't. General initiative. No, I've got rid of it somehow. So what we'll do is we'll use I'll just get some markers that we can use. We find them useful on the board. So we've got 4 general initiative, which can't be saved. So, and I think it would be wise to try and protect our assault teams that have moved forward by getting each of them to try and seek cover. So all 4, 1 on each. Now, if we go to movement actions, attempt to seek cover is 1 each, so we got 4. We got 4 units, so that's okay. And we look at the cover number on the card, and we add a card or take away a card for the experience level. Any HQ or staff or general initiative, any good order unit that's not under a cover marker, and the card has not exceeded its cover potential. So cover potential is 2 on this, 2 on this one, 2 on this one, 1 on that one, and harder cover here, but 3 of them. So each of them have got capacity. So we'll go left to right, for instance. So we draw 3 cards. They're all line units, so it's just a straightforward draw. No, no, no. So no cover found in the embankment. In the rocky terrain, 2 cards. 1, 2. Didn't find cover there. In the gully, 3 cards. 1. There's a cover. So we get a cover marker. I may need quite a few of these. One hopes. So we've got a cover marker. And the last one, in the village, 3 cards. 1, 2, 3. Don't find any cover there, so not super fantastic. But we move on. And there's no enemy activity HQ event on turn 1. We've got no enemy units on the map, so there's no enemy activity check. So far we've not need to capture or retreat. We haven't activated a vehicle. So we go to mutual combat. There's no VOFs on the board at the moment, so we go through to the key one for this turn, which is evaluate potential contact markers. Potential contact markers are rated A through C, C being usually the least difficult or the least dangerous. And we do these in random order. We are at no contact, and we are going to be doing potential contact Cs, so they will require a draw of 4 cards, and if they have the word contact on them, then we find out who we've actually encountered. But first off, we're going to just mark these up. So using normal reading order, we'll go left to right, 1 to 4. So there's 4 to resolve, so we take this card and we're going to resolve the 4th one, this one. So I'll just move it down here so that I can remember that's the one we're on. We have potential contact C, no contact, 4 cards. So that's the first, second, third, there's the word contact, 4. So this actually becomes something. And this is where we look at the mission in the briefing booklet. On page 5, potential contact C. It's a draw of randomizer of 10. So we draw the card, and the number under the 10 is 3. And 3 is incoming mortars, which we then look on page 3 for how we resolve that. So incoming mortars, it's going to place a VOF. They're not spotted. It's going to be placed at maximum line of sight, and it's an incoming marker. And there's a Mortar FO spotter with 82mm mortars. So we get an incoming pending fire mission, so we'll claim that. So that's going to be on there. Potential marker moves off because we've resolved it. And now we put the FO, Mortar FO, at max line of sight, and we have to do the placement. So this is on page 5 of the booklet. Again, it's a randomizer for 10. 10 it's a 2, and it says per package placement table. And I would say that says at max loss, so we're going to have to go front left, front right, or front. And so I'm going to do a 1, 2, or 3. So 1 is left, 2 is in front, and 3 is right. To the right. So we're going to be putting so that's going to require a terrain draw. I'm just going to go there, and we'll flip that, and we'll lock that because well, it's going to be firing at that, which means the loss will be right out here unless there's intervening terrain. So no, and so there's another one all the way out here. So let's tidy this up. Let's move that over there. That's actually on a hill. I think that's reasonably good. So we'll lock those down. So the Mortar FO is going to be Mortar. This is a -3 NCM, so I presume we'll just take that mortar spotter. And we'll flip that because he's not spotted. So that will go there. So that is a dangerous place to be as an incoming coming in. So because of the quirks of the turn at the moment, that assault team will be able to get out of dodge. But it is a nasty trap for others coming in. Alright, so that's the first, and that now means we are at contact, because definition of contact is one friendly or enemy occupied card is under a VOF marker. It's not under a VOF marker, so I think it's still no contact, because the VOF marker only comes when you flip that over, which hasn't happened yet. We kind of like know something's coming, but it hasn't happened. Alright, 3 cards to choose from now. So it's the second card, so it's this one. And so it's going to be the same because of what I've just said. It's going to be a draw of 4 cards. 1, 2, there's the contact. 3, 4. So we've got 4. We've got a contact. So now we've got to resolve that one. And that is again a 10. A card looking at the randomizer of 10. We've got 5. And 5 on a potential contact C is a sniper. The sniper is it's going to put a VOF or a PDF, yes. It's not spotted, maximum range. So we'll draw another card for placement. 10 is 2 per placement table, which just says at maximum loss. So for this one we'll say 1 left, 1 right, 2 centre, 3 right. 1, so it's to the left. So we're going off of here. Maximum loss puts it in the gully there. So we want a sniper. So we clone that one. So, and it is not spotted. And that puts a VOF. and that does change this to contact because we now have a VOF marker on the board. And it will have a PDF. Visually, I'll put another one on. So that's coming in there. Alright, so that's that one done. Now we have two cards to pick. So it's number 2, which is this one. Now we're at contact and C, so it's 3 cards we draw. We carry on drawing until we completed the action, and then we reshuffle. So that was no contact. So that comes off, and now we've got 1 to do. So we're still at contact with the C. It's 3 cards. 1, 2, 3. So no contact there, and that is the potential contact markers. Maybe the mortar comes in on a VOF instead of a penned-in mission. Having thought about it. So VOF mark, incoming VOF, so I think it was. Okay, well I've done. Otherwise, I don't think it's really altered too much, but yes, there's a VOF marker there, so we now resolve that, and what that does do is it uses up one of the fire missions of that spotter. It's 2 fire missions, so he's got 1 left, and what I might do is just get a clone and put that there to indicate he's got 1 left. So we've got 2 cards with VOF markers and friendlies. Doesn't matter which order we do these in. So looking at this here, the VOF of a sniper is -3. He's exposed, which makes him -5. He's got a +1 for the terrain, which makes him -4. So we go and pick a card, -4 is a hit, and then we do the damage, and his line, it becomes a litter team. So we'll move that back here and we'll get a litter team for him. That's how lethal snipers are. So that's that one resolved. So we'll just put a cube on to say we've done that one. And now this one, this is a -3 mortar. And he's got a -2 countered by the +2 of the village, so he's on a minus card with a -3. -3 is a hit. Against line, he's paralysed. So that comes over here. And that is the devastation caused. We'll put a cube on to say we've done that one, and that's all the VOF markers. And we go to clean up phase for the turn. And that effectively means in this case we just take the exposed counters off. Those cubes come off because they've done their work. So what do we have? Well, we have fire coming in from a sniper on our left and fire coming in from a mortar on our right. Possibly just for clarity, we'll clone those. That's showing the route of the mortars coming in. That's the fire from the sniper, and they've already caused some consternation with the troops. So that is the end of turn 1, and we've got 3 more daylight turns, and we've got a bit of a puzzle to work out. We've got 2 areas that are not under fire, this embankment and this gully, and it may be that we bring forces up. We've got to have this one cleared of PC. We don't actually have units on these. It's going to possibly need someone to spot the sniper to free up this area, but it could be that we advance through the gully and into the brush on the hill here. It'll give us some visibility of what's ahead of us. And I'll leave it there. I'll just move this back up to the top, so and we will start turn 2 soon.